Good afternoon. Usually when you say hello, people say hello back. Good afternoon. Okay, I get to travel the world and see lots of different entrepreneurs and events like this. I would give you a grade of about a 2 on your response out of 10 for that. I expect more out of Turkey. I expect more out of this event. We're entrepreneurs. We're meant to be loud and annoying and boisterous. So I'm going to ask you one more time. I'm going to say good afternoon, and I want you to fill this arena with as much noise as you can. Good afternoon. All right, you got a 5. That's all right. I want you to take a moment. I think one of the hardest lessons in life in general for me has been recognizing where you are when you're there. So I want you to take a moment to take a deep breath. It's been a long day. You've heard lots of advice. You have lots of ideas at this point. I want you to take a deep breath in with me, everybody together. Ready? And then out. And I want you to just kind of look around the room. If you haven't kind of looked behind you, look at your neighbor, look into their eyes, and realize where you are. You're in the middle of one of the most historically important places in the world, Istanbul, surrounded by fellow entrepreneurs and intrapreneurs and people that are chasing value from 50 different countries all over the globe. And we're all here to celebrate together, to learn, to embrace one another. What an incredible way to spend a day. If you were to tell me that that's what I got to do today, 5 years ago, I wouldn't have believed you. I would have called you a liar. But that's what we get to do today. And so embrace the moment. Embrace the community that you have joined. Maybe it's your first time here, like me. Maybe this is your 10th time in this community. This is an incredible community, and all around the world, there are incredible communities of entrepreneurs like yourself. Last week, I was in Washington, D.C., working with the U.S. Olympians, learning about their plans to start businesses and create value for those around them. A month before that, I was in Australia, hanging out with a bunch of entrepreneurs just like yourself, who are discovering new ways to impact their economy. And just this week, I met so many of you who are on your journey to create value for your world and for the people around you and for the globe. From my new friend, Cenk. Cenk, are you here? I don't know if you are. There he is, the former CFO of PepsiCo, who left his job to chase a startup that's going to empower the disadvantaged economically. It's amazing. To the young man from Pakistan who's made a decision to give a voice to his college students, his friends, where otherwise there might not be a voice through anonymity. The things that are in this room, the dreams and the journeys that you've started are incredible. And I don't want you to miss the moment, because the moment matters. And I believe that this is a trend that's happening around the world. People deciding, choosing to become entrepreneurs and to create value. And I think it's safe to say that trend we can call something like the value creation economy. Whereas before we chased wealth, and the world was dominated in the industrial age by those that could produce the most. We're on the forefront, riding the early wave of a value creation economy full of people like yourself. And the mindset has changed from only control and command and domination and monopolies to instead to discovery. And it looks something like this. It's not just an art to create value. It's also a science. It's the inspiration we gain from one another and the rigor that we apply to those ideas that ultimately creates value for other human beings. And there's something very interesting about value. When we set out to create value, it inherently involves another human being. We can't really create value for ourselves, right? Our startups aren't just for us, they're for somebody else. And the inspiration combined with the rigor is really where value rests and is the backbone of this new shift of global entrepreneurship. So we're going to spend some time today talking about 3 traits I've observed, I think, that make up great value creators, things that great value creators do. And I think they're important because they set the baseline for our behaviors as entrepreneurs and the way that we decide to journey and move. Cool? Everyone with me? Give me a good nod. No? Come on, guys. This is a big stage. I can see all of you. We're still humans. You can give me a good nod, yes, a yawn, maybe a raise your hand. You guys okay? All right, there's some life up here from Pakistan. Is there life anywhere else in the back, maybe? I'm just inherently a backsitter. I typically am the guy that walks in the room and wants to go to the back because I want to make sure I have a back row seat towards the end of an aisle so that if the speaker sucks, I can leave. That's usually how I feel, right? And so I respect you front sitters, and I always judge my talks as whether or not the back guys, the back sitters, actually are engaged. I see one, yes. All right, we're going to go. So the first trait of value creation, of value creators really is that great value creators see the world differently. Now, when I say that, many of you will think, yes, great value creators have to be visionaries. And I'm here to tell you on this stage, you are not a visionary. Does that hurt your feelings? Might hurt your feelings. There is no such thing as a visionary. The popular myth kind of goes that you sit in your garage and tinker away until all of a sudden one day, eureka, I found an idea. And then you walk out of your room and out of the garage and you say, bye, Mom, I'm going to be a billionaire. And you build your idea, and all of a sudden it goes to market, and you're sitting, on a luxury yacht cruising around in San Francisco because you are a visionary and you executed upon your vision. Real visionaries pursue the change they want to see in the world relentlessly. And that means they have to see the world differently, not through their eyes. Great value creators see the world through someone else's eyes. That's the way that they see the world differently. And that means to be a great value creator, we must lead with empathy. Now, the word empathy is so important to us as entrepreneurs. It's the foundation for how we pursue value creation. And leading with empathy means to personally experience someone else's perspective. The choice to lead with empathy is a vulnerable one. It means you have to sit eye to eye with another human being and listen, not talk. It means you have to sit with another person who's having a problem that you might not be able to solve and seek to understand, not to pitch. Empathy means putting on the view of another person, walking in their shoes. And so many entrepreneurs, so many potential great value creators miss this step. They sit around, they say, oh, our customer is 25 years to 35 years, college educated, and they make up this mythical person called a persona that really doesn't exist in the real world, and then they go and build a bunch of shit that really doesn't work for that person because that person doesn't exist, right? And then they go, oh, I don't know why it works. And then some of you might be in this position. I've been there myself. You get angry with your customers. You go, well, our customers just don't understand how amazing we are. Screw them, we're going to go do other customers, right? No. The problem in that entire scenario is that you didn't lead with empathy. Great value creators make the choice to be vulnerable. Make the choice to experience someone else's perspective. And there's a million ways to do this. But the simplest one is truly to take that first step. Walt Disney, perhaps one of the greatest value creators in the world, faced a similar choice. He noticed before he built Disneyland, I'm from Los Angeles originally. Disneyland was part of my upbringing. I loved it. But before he built it, he noticed when he went to different fairs and world fairs and things like that, that there was garbage, like litter, trash, everywhere. And he's like, I don't know what's going on with this. Why is there trash all over the place? Now, he's Walt Disney. He can commission a study. He can hire a company to go and tell him why there's trash. He can do whatever he wants to do to find out about this problem of trash in these theme parks. But instead, he decides, you know what, I'm going to go and experience this myself. So he heads to a theme park. He buys a ticket. He heads inside. And he observes people just dropping their trash on the ground. I don't know what the deal is. Continues to kind of learn and observe. And he realizes most people will carry their trash 15 steps. 15 steps, they'll stop, and they'll drop their trash on the ground. He goes, I'm not sure why this is. Why are people dropping trash on the ground? Now, again, he could have stopped there and said, lazy people, lazy customers, why would you do such a thing? He says, I don't understand why they won't throw it away. So instead, he goes up to the concession stand. He buys himself some popcorn and a hot dog. He proceeds to eat it. He takes off walking. When he's done, looking for a trash can, And he realizes there's no trash can to be found. And he goes, aha, that's why they just drop it on the ground, because they can't find a place to throw it away. Now, that's an insight. It's amazing, but unless you take action with that, it doesn't really matter. And so to this day, in any Disney property around the world, you can't walk 15 steps without finding a trash can. You only gain that insight by experiencing, through empathy, the view of the customer, not by commissioning studies and staying in your office. Now, empathy doesn't start with everybody. It doesn't start with empathy for the world or empathy for our entire market segment. Empathy begins with one person. And I want to challenge you today to think hard for yourself. Who is that one person, that one customer? Or perhaps it's that one investor. Perhaps it's that one potential partner, or the question that was asked, how do I get into big telecoms or sell to large enterprises? Who is that one person that you need more empathy for? Who do you need to walk in their shoes, to understand deeply, so that you can attempt to create value for? And I want you to commit to attempting to live a day of their life through their eyes and their emotions and their feelings. Great value creators make the choice to lead with empathy, to be vulnerable, and to start with one person as a practice to gain empathy. The second principle I've seen of great value creators is that they choose to take action. Now, when they see something in the world that needs fixing, they've experienced that empathy, great value creators look around them and go, is anyone going to do anything about this? No. And they go, I got it. They raise their hand. They may have no idea how to code, how to build a business, how to do any of it, but they raise their hand and they say, I'll take care of it. I'm on my way. Many of you have made that decision. I've asked a number of you as I've mentored you on boats and in the middle of rooms and walking down subways and all sorts of things over the last few days, why did you decide to become an entrepreneur? And almost every time I heard, because someone had to do something about it. I love that. Great value creators choose to act. They raise their hand and decide to act. And guess what? That decision happens in an instant. It's immediate. We look around and we say, I got it. I'm starting a business. I'm going to do a startup. I'm going to create an accelerator. I'm going to write that book. I'm going to do something. I'm going to decision to act. The decision happens instantaneously and changes the course of your life. The thing that takes so long is all of your weighing the pros and cons and all of those sorts of things that lead you up to that decision. And when you make that decision, it means that you're embracing the unknown. The truth is, you can't execute your way to a startup. How many of you, back people to and way back people, I want to see your hands. Let's see if there's some life here, have ever written a business plan? Raise your hands up high and proudly. Come on, anyone over here? Okay, good. Congratulations, you're a fiction writer, just like myself, if you've written a business plan, because you inherently can't predict the future. In fact, if any one of your business plans that you wrote became 100% true, I want you to stand up right now and leave because you're in the wrong building. You need to go build a career as a fortune teller. You'll make tons more money if you predicted the future 100% true. Anyone standing up? Didn't think so, right? Of course not. Because when we venture out and we make that decision, we're embracing something that's unknown. We're embracing the journey of discovery. And that decision means that we have to operate differently than simply executing upon a plan. Instead, we have to be able to search through the wilderness, sometimes alone, sometimes with a team. We have to be able to look at true north and realize there's a swamp in front of us, and we need to walk around it. And we need to journey through that unknown with no one else giving us the answers. It's a decision to act and embrace the unknown. This is my friend Chris Linlin, who founded a company called Beta Brand in the Bay Area. It's a clothing company, fastest growing startup, one of the fastest growing startups in the world, a fashion company of all things. And Chris embraced the unknown. He had a hypothesis that, hey, I think that people want to have fun with their clothing. They want to play. We take clothing too seriously. We should have some fun. So he created a few pieces of clothing, like a reversible smoking jacket. I have one. It's kind of cool. It's kind of a mullet in a jacket, business up front, party in the back. It's reversible smoking jacket. On one end, it's nice and velvet and looks very polished and has a nice square in it. And then you can take it off and reverse it, and on the outside, it looks like 70s wallpaper from the US, and it's kind of a crazy party, right? It's kind of a fun jacket. And he said, I don't know if people are willing to play with their clothing. And so instead of launching and executing a business plan, if you're a fashion startup, this is how you work. You create some clothes, you hire a bunch of pretty skinny people that are good looking to wear those clothes, to walk down a short catwalk, and hopefully someone takes some cool pictures and like it, and all of a sudden they want to hire you to do a whole line, and that's how you become successful. Chris went the other way. He said, I don't know. He put it out there. He said, here's the idea I have. Here's kind of a prototype. If anyone wants one, go ahead. We're going to run it for 30 days, and we'll see if that product is successful. Boom, people order it, and he makes it. Wow, people are willing to play with this. Well, let's try another crazy shirt. Let's do a bacon t-shirt and see if someone will buy that. Puts it out there, no one will buy it. Chris has embraced the unknown as he's built his company. And to this day, every new product that comes out, in fact, every product that Betabrand does, starts with the question, will anyone want this? If it gets funded, they make it. If it doesn't, they go back to the drawing board and make another product. It's learning your way through the unknown. This is what innovation looks like. It's not a model with lots of circles and bubbles and names and things, and it's not something you can figure out by sitting around a boardroom. In fact, innovation takes action. You try something, you learn, you try something else. You learn, and you keep on learning. And the greatest competitive advantage that still remains today is simply this: your ability to translate the learnings you gain, the insights you have, into action at speed is the only remaining competitive advantage there is. We have to operate in the unknown. We have to embrace the unknown. We have to make the decision to act. And finally, great value creators assume that they're wrong. Now, some of you are sitting here thinking to yourself, well, no, I'm right. I have to be right. I'm always right. I'm that person in my friends. I'm always right. But the real value creators start with the assumption that they're wrong. And they want to prove as quickly as possible that they're wrong, so they don't produce something that no one wants. So that you don't become a product searching for a problem, lost in a desert. The truth is, the phrase fail fast bugs me, because we wear it as this big badge. Fail fast, fail fast. Oh, I failed. It's not about failure. It's about learning. And we learn in our failures, and we learn in our small successes. And when we embrace the assumption that we're wrong, we then can prioritize learning above all else. When we make that decision to learn, it unlocks our future. It unlocks that next step. Many of you have grandiose visions about how you'll change the world, grandiose visions about what your product will do. And I want you to hear me say this, that never confuse the size of your vision with the size of your next step. The size of your vision can be grand and large, but the next step is probably very small. It's the next action to learn and to prioritize that learning above all else. Joel Gasquion founded Buffer. He wanted to learn. He assumed Buffer wasn't going to work. They're now one of the fastest growing startups as well in this space. Become very well known for transparency. They post all their numbers out there. And Buffer started with a simple landing page, sent out to a bunch of people that said, hey, this is what Buffer is. Does anyone want it? And he measured the results on the clicks. And about 25 people said, I'd buy it. And then it'd go to another page that said, oops, we're not ready yet. The next thing he needed to learn was, well, will anyone actually pay for it, though? So he put some pricing up there, and he measured the results. Click on it, yes. Oh, sorry, the product's not ready yet. And when there were enough people that said, yes, I would buy it, and yes, I would pay for it, showed that behavior, he started to actually write the code and build Buffer. It's the assumption that he was wrong that led to the result of his startup being successful. When you assume you're right, you make your plan. Here's how we get from A to B. We make it linear. We say, this is what's going to happen. But when we assume we're wrong, we actually have to triangulate our way through. We start with a small step. We learn, which leads to another step. And we triangulate our way through this unknown path to learn about what we should do next from the view of the customer. So great value creators around the globe. Nice. First, see the world differently. They choose to embrace empathy. Second, they raise their hand and take action. And third, they assume that they're wrong. I want to encourage you today in your ventures, as I've met so many of you, and it's been such an honor and pleasure to be here with you and learning from you and journeying with you, that you continue to think big things, that you continue to think about how you're going to change the world and the impact that you're going to have. But I want you to also start small. Who's that next person you need to gain empathy for? Where do you need to prioritize learning above all else? And where have you not yet made the decision to act? To raise your hand and say, I got this. Become a value creator by thinking big and starting small. If you enjoyed this talk or you got any value out of it, you can download the talk for free, gettalk.at, Startup Istanbul. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for being so generous with your time.